His stepfather was an alcoholic, and he would like beat him, so he had to leave the house.
Excuse me, Leonardo, we don't want to reveal that.
Oh.
He is wealth. He is youth frozen in time. He is the face that launched 1,000 box office records. Leonardo DiCaprio is cinema's golden boy who never aged, an Oscar winner, environmental crusader, and one of the most bankable actors in history. He stood on the deck of Titanic and became immortal. He crawled through the wilderness in The Revenant and finally conquered Hollywood's highest honor. He has everything: money, power, recognition. But here's what nobody asks. What happens when the world loves your image more than your truth? Because behind the charm is a fracture. And inside that fracture is a boy who grew up learning how to survive. The Golden Cage. Fame didn't just elevate Leonardo DiCaprio. It defined him. The face, the hair, the boyish beauty that made teenage audiences scream and studios print money. That face became his currency, and then his curse. Because in Hollywood, beauty is a trap disguised as a gift. They didn't just cast him, they categorized him. Heartthrob, pretty boy, temporary. And no matter how hard he tried to break out, the image followed him, like a shadow. He could deliver Shakespeare-level performances. He could disappear into characters. But audiences still saw Jack Dawson, still saw the boy at the front of the ship, still saw the fantasy. So he did what few actors are willing to do. He went to war with his own reflection. The self-destruction of an image. He chose roles that hurt, physically, mentally, emotionally. Not because he needed to, but because he had to prove something, to critics, to the Academy, to himself. In The Revenant, he didn't act, he endured. He crawled through frozen rivers, he slept inside animal carcasses, he ate raw liver while cameras rolled. This wasn't performance, it was punishment. A ritual, a man trying to burn away the image that made him famous. Because if suffering equals respect, then he would suffer more than anyone else. Back to the streets, back to the noise, back to the danger, back to the beginning. East Hollywood, not the Hollywood of red carpets and flashing cameras, the other Hollywood, the one tourists never see. Cracked sidewalks, graffiti-covered walls, drug needles scattered like broken promises. Leonardo wasn't born into luxury. He was born into chaos. His parents separated early, his environment was unstable, and outside his window, survival was a daily negotiation. He saw things children aren't supposed to see: violence, addiction, desperation. And when you grow up surrounded by that, you learn one thing fast: escape is everything. The promise. His mother believed in him, relentlessly. She drove him to auditions, she protected him from the streets, she gave him something rare, a vision of a different life. And for Leonardo, that became a promise. Not just to succeed, but to escape. To never go back to that environment, to build a life so far removed from that chaos, it couldn't touch him anymore. But here's the truth about escape. You can leave the place, but the place doesn't always leave you. The first door. He starts young. Commercials, TV roles, small appearances, grinding, getting rejected, again and again and again. You're not right for this, too intense, too different. But he doesn't stop, because stopping isn't an option when failure feels like going backwards. Back to the streets, back to the instability, back to uncertainty. So he pushes harder. And then comes the breakthrough. Titanic. The explosion. The world changes overnight. Titanic becomes a global phenomenon. Leonardo DiCaprio becomes something bigger than an actor. He becomes an obsession. Magazines, posters, screaming crowds. The kind of fame that doesn't just follow you, it consumes you. And suddenly, he's trapped, because the same film that made him also reduced him. The validation gap. Critics didn't take him seriously. Not fully, not yet, because beauty in Hollywood comes with an expiration date, and respect, that comes with suffering. So Leonardo begins a new mission: earn respect, not popularity, not money, respect. And the Academy, they become the gatekeepers. Year after year, nomination after nomination, loss after loss. 22 years, a public rejection loop. It wasn't just personal anymore. It became a cultural phenomenon, the Oscar curse. The internet mocked it, memes spread, audiences turned it into a joke. But behind the jokes was a man being told over and over again, "You're not enough." The obsession. So he transforms, role by role. He chooses pain. In The Ivader, he descends into madness. In Blood Diamond, he chases redemption through violence. In The Wolf of Wall Street, he becomes chaos incarnate. Each performance louder, darker, more extreme, because he isn't just acting anymore. He's proving he belongs, proving he's more than a face, proving he deserves the one thing that keeps slipping away. The win that didn't fix it. 2016. The moment arrives. The Revenant. The suffering pays off. The Academy finally says yes. Academy Awards, Best Actor, Leonardo DiCaprio. Victory, closure, validation. Or at least, that's what it was supposed to be. Because when you spend your entire life chasing one thing and you finally get it, you don't always feel complete. Sometimes, you just feel empty. The environmental paradox. Leonardo reinvents himself again, this time as a savior, climate change advocate, environmental activist, global speaker. He funds projects, raises awareness, uses his platform for something bigger than himself. But the world doesn't respond with pure admiration. It questions him. Private jets, luxury yachts, carbon footprints. The contradiction becomes the headline. And suddenly, he's not just fighting for the planet, he's defending his own credibility. Because perfection is the price of influence, and no one can afford it forever. The loneliness. Relationships come and go, fast, public, scrutinized. A pattern emerges: youth, beauty, distance. The headlines write themselves. But beneath the surface, it's not about gossip, it's about control. Because when your life is constantly exposed, you start to protect what little you can. You limit access, you avoid permanence, you keep things temporary, safe. But safety has a side effect: isolation. And it raises a question no one wants to answer. How does the richest person in the room become its loneliest occupant? Back to the boy. Back to the cracked sidewalks, back to the noise, back to the survival instinct. Because everything he built, everything he became, was rooted in one fear: going back. Back to instability, back to powerlessness, back to being unseen. And so he kept moving, kept proving, kept chasing, even when there was nothing left to chase. The loop. Fame, validation, doubt, repeat. A cycle that never really ends. Because the external world can't fix an internal question: am I enough? For Leonardo DiCaprio, that question didn't disappear with success. It just got louder. Hidden beneath awards, buried under applause, masked by performance. The pivotal moment. There was a moment, early, fragile, easy to overlook. A young Leonardo standing in an audition room. No fame, no guarantees, just pressure. The kind of pressure that defines everything. One path said, give up, accept the environment, accept the limitations, accept the life you were given. Another said, fight, endure rejection, risk humiliation, chase something uncertain. One choice would keep him safe. The other
would either save him or destroy him. He chose to fight. Because even when you win that fight, the war doesn't end. The hunger evolves. It becomes identity. And identity is harder to escape than poverty, because at least poverty is external. This, though, this lives inside you. The legacy. Today, Leonardo DiCaprio is untouchable, an icon, a legend, a symbol of cinematic excellence. But beneath it all, there's still that boy, still running, still proving, still searching for something that can't be handed out at an award show. Final thought. Because the real tragedy isn't the struggle he faced, it's the one that never left, the quiet, persistent echo of a question that success couldn't silence. And maybe that's the cost of becoming everything the world wants. You risk losing the one thing you were trying to protect: yourself.